I know that we're currently operating in a pretty challenging economic environment. If you're a farmer, rancher, ag business owner, you definitely know what I'm talking about. But one thing that people are not talking about when we enter these time periods are the challenges that come into play when working with your ag bank. And inside of today's video, we're going to talk about what some of those problems are and how you can ultimately solve them. So let's get into it. All right, guys. So one of the very first challenges that you're going to run into when it comes to working with your ag bank at this time is just how you're fearful of what the future holds. What you need to know is so is your bank, right? Now, for a lot of like our customers, for example, they'll go in and meet with their banker sometimes, and our customers are taking in detailed, structured, and organized finances, and they are in the top 1% of customers in that bank because of that. Just so you know, it's literally that simple. If you're structured and organized, you are going to put yourself above and beyond every other customer that bank ultimately has. But at the end of the day, though, what I mean by when I say that the banks are fearful is that a lot of our customers, they have gotten that fear from their banker. And what has happened to a lot of our customers is their banker has taken the fear that they have from looking at other operations numbers, which are not clear, by the way, or structured or organized, and they see what challenges are happening and how much money some of these customers are going to be losing here. And the thing is, though, is that they carry that fear into other meetings, right? They're projecting another customer's fear potentially onto you. And this is what happens when you have loan officers essentially, or banks and CEOs and things like that, that haven't done the level of work to really just have this awareness of understanding how they're projecting their feelings onto somebody else, right? And so the reason I say that is because you're probably feeling this with your bank. Even if you're in a solid financial position, you're projected to have a great year, understand that the bank is fearful. They could be projecting those fearful feelings onto you, but don't take it as a knock against you or like they're losing faith in you. It's literally because they have challenges going on with the majority of their customers right now, and it's just causing them to be fearful. Because when a bank has to foreclose on a customer or something like that, man, they don't want to do that, right? And it's terrible for banks to have to go through that. But then that ultimately means that they have to write off those losses on their books and things like that if they don't get the money back from being able to liquidate the collateral and things like that. It's just not a good situation here. So what you need to understand is right now, just how you're fearful of what's happening in the economy, the bank is as well. Now, the opposite of this is also true though too. And I've talked about this in other videos. Banks are fearful at the same time farmers are fearful, but banks are greedy at the same time farmers are greedy as well. And this is a very dangerous relationship and feelings to both be having, because I've talked about this in other videos. Like I said, back in 2012, 2013, and even 2020, 21, and 22 here, that, just in the recent years here, when interest rates were low and grain prices were pretty high, banks were wanting to loan out money, and greed was taking over not only the farmer and buying high-priced assets, but also the banker as well, and making loans at cheap interest rates to customers that, quite honestly, were not ready to make that financial commitment, and now it's coming back to bite them in the ass, to be honest. So at the end of the day, you need to understand that in times like right now, the banks could be fearful and they could be projecting that fear onto you. But regardless, guys, you need to know your numbers at a detailed level. Do not let the bank's perception of you or their fear that they're projecting onto you shake what you feel about your operation, right? Or create any of these fearful stories in your mind. As long as you know your numbers and you have a detailed game plan for next year, stick to the game plan, right? Stay confident in who you are, how you operate as a business owner, and understand that you're not like a majority of the other customers in the bank if you are structured and organized and just know where the heck you're at financially. If you don't know where you're at financially, then yes, you're going to be stuck in fear, because deep down, you got holes inside the operation. You don't know where you're at, and you don't have a game plan in order to weather the economic storm that we've been living in and will most likely have to go through for the next 12 to 18 months as well. All right, now the next thing that you need to watch out for when it comes to working with your bank, and again, guys, remember, I was an ag loan officer for 6 years, so I saw a lot of these things actually happening in real time. But the other thing that bankers will do when we get into struggling times and they are fearful, and this is the biggest red flag for you, and it definitely was for me, but when banks get fearful like this and we're looking at cash flows or balance sheet and things like that, and they're looking at projections and seeing how bad things are looking, the first thing that some banks will do, and again, this is a massive red flag, is manipulate numbers, right? And what I mean by that, they may include your spouse's W-2 income on the cash flow, right? To make the cash flow look better. They may change the prices that you're projected to sell things for. They may change expenses and things like that, because at the end of the day, your banker is having to take these numbers, present them to loan committee in order to get your line of credit renewed or any new term loans approved that you want to get done. And they don't want to take in credits that look bad, essentially. Now, there's a couple different reasons for doing this. Most loan officers are nervous of going into loan committee and taking the heat from loan committee and things like that. The reality is how your operation performs is outside of their control. But to be completely honest, it's your responsibility as a business owner to make sure that you're just running a sound business. It's not your banker's responsibility to know your numbers or things like that. But again, though, the first red flag here is they should not be manipulating numbers. But I guarantee you, I heard about this happening when I was a loan officer. Fortunately, I was at two good banks that we did not do this. But after working with 300 plus family farm operations and hearing about their banks and things like that, guys, I'm surprised that honestly, like 80% plus of banks in this side of this country are not closed down because of what they are doing with their customers' finances in order to manipulate numbers and make them look better than what they really are. This is a massive, massive problem. And ultimately, at the end of the day, I want all of our customers to live in a place of truth and integrity. And I don't care how their numbers look. If things are looking tough this year and they're projected to lose 100 grand or 200 grand or whatever that is, I want their banker to take that straight to loan committee because we want to operate in integrity. And if you're banking at a good bank that understands the cycles that we deal with inside of the ag industry, where some years you're going to make a lot of money, but a majority of years you're going to kind of have steady losses unless you get things really turned around inside the business. But on those big years, we really want to capitalize. You want a bank that's going to ride those waves with you and understand and not overreact because of their fear and start making these changes or demanding these payments or whatever that is. You know what I'm talking about? The energy changes when your bank is operating on fear and how they're treating you as a customer. You want a bank that's going to ride those waves with you and understand where we're at and understand that this is a long-term game. This isn't something that we win in 2 or 3 years. This is a long-term game. There's going to be ups and downs along the way. But as long as your earned equity on your balance sheet is continuously increasing, right, and cash flow is just slow and steady, you're just chipping away at these things, hey, you should be fine. So at the end of the day, when it comes to working with your loan officer, make sure, one, you're presenting your numbers from a place of truth and integrity, but also two, make sure that they're representing your numbers in your operation to loan committee from a place of truth and integrity as well. So one way to guarantee this is a lot of our customers that are working with their banker, they will take in their reports from our software called Farmer Metrics, and their banker, most banks have this internal software that they want to use. And so they'll take our customers' reports and plug them into their system. One thing that I've told our customers to do over the years several times is go ahead and ask your loan officer for a copy of the financials that he's going to be presented in their format, right? That way you can review them and you know how they're representing your operation to loan committee. Because here's the problem. If you get some of these bankers that are selfish and they're more worried about their image versus representing you the right way, they will manipulate numbers to save their own ass versus representing you in the correct way from a place of truth and integrity. So that is one thing. I'm not saying that happens all the time, but it does happen, and I've seen it happen. You need to make sure that you are holding your loan officer accountable to representing your operation from a place of truth and integrity. All right, guys. Now, the last point for today's video is when it gets into challenging economic times like this, guys, not only are farmers or ranchers exposed when it comes to their finances, but guess what? So is your bank, right? So this is really an opportune time for you to really start assessing how your bank is running their business. And what do I mean by that? Are they manipulating numbers? Are they representing your information accurately to loan committee? Are they treating their customers with respect consistently? When you walk into the bank, what is the energy like? Are they doing the due diligence and making sure that they have the assets as collateral and that those assets actually exist there to secure their notes? Are they running their business the right way is essentially what I'm saying, right? And doing the level of due diligence on their own finances to make sure they're running a sound operation. And again, in times like we're living in today, more and more ag banks are getting exposed for not operating their bank the right way. This is why we're seeing more and more consolidation. The number of community banks has consistently decreased over the past 20 to 30 years by a substantial amount, guys, because these banks that are not running their book the right way eventually get acquired and bought out, because at the end of the day, they either get bought out or the FDIC is going to shut them down anyway. So it's at times like this that you're really going to get to analyze and assess how your bank is going to operate in hard economic times. And the thing is that if they are not emotional, they're just cool and steady and calm, and they understand they're looking at things from a 10-year picture, a 10-year time horizon, then ultimately you're probably at a pretty good bank. But if they're extremely fearful, they're stressed out and things like that, that means they've got holes in their business, just like you potentially have holes in your business. So at the end of the day, if you find out all this stuff to be true about your bank, it may be time to start looking for another bank if they're not operating in the way that you would expect them to in tough economic times. All right, guys, so I hope you took some value away from today's video. At the end of the day, my friend, your success is going to be determined 100% 1% by you knowing your numbers, right? And this is what it gives you the ability to honestly work with whatever bank you want to, be able to control that room and have all the leverage over your bank, and just know where the heck you're at financially, and keep you in the top 1% of farmers and ranchers in this country. It is literally that easy. When I said earlier in the video that our customers are the top 1% of the customers in that bank just by being simply organized financially and just know where the heck they're at, I'm not lying. It is literally, the problem is that big, and it's that easy to be in the top 1%. And all of our customers, by the way, get 2 to 3% better interest rates than the average on like their operating line of credit, for example, because with a customer that's structured and organized and knows where the heck they're at, that is a much less risk customer to the bank, which means we can negotiate for better interest rates. It's a huge difference there, my friends. So at the end of the day, your success is going to be determined by how well you know your numbers and how you present your operation to the bank from a place of structure, organization, and just knowing where the heck you're at. So if you're in this place where you don't know your numbers, you're confused, you don't have the financial confidence and clarity that you ultimately want for your operation, then I'm going to invite you to click the link below, schedule a free call with our team. We're going to talk to you exactly what we do in Legacy Farmer and this proven process that we've built over the years working with 300 plus family farm operations, taking their operations from a place of financial chaos and disorganization to a place of financial confidence and clarity. So if you're interested in that, click the link below, schedule a call with our team, and we'll see you on the call.